call you?
My friends or people that know me, like people in prison or people that actually know me.
Either or. You can go ahead and say both if you want.
I don't know. I change aliases a lot because of all the gang drama and stuff. But my name is Justin.
What did you used to go by, Justin?
People used to call me White Boy, Ghost, Zigzag, Food Stamp. Let's see what else. Popeye. I think that's pretty much the most known one.
What are you incarcerated for, sir, and how long is your sentence?
I'm currently convicted of murder. The sentence started out at 62 to life, but I think like 6 years got knocked off or something, so like 50-something with life.
Where are you from right here on the streets?
I'm from Los Angeles County, but pretty much Long Beach and Compton area.
Do you or did you at any time point elect belong to any type of gangs, groups, organizations, sir?
Yeah.
Do you mind stipulating what you were associated with?
I'm just gonna put it down as Crip. Well, when I was a child, I was average youngest of a regular little white family that lived in a lower class neighborhood. My dad worked a regular job. My mom was a regular house mother, and crack cocaine came out. And my dad and mom were into like rock and roll and partying and all that. So my mom tried cocaine and she couldn't shake it, so she ended up really addicted. She started like stealing money from my father and returning the groceries to go buy more.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
So they ended up splitting up, and I was living with my dad, my brother, and my sister, who were both older than me. And then my father got a new job. He went out to celebrate, and he ended up getting shot in a robbery when I was 8 years old. So that was it. I was separated from my family, my immediate family. My grandparents temporarily took custody. They split us all up because nobody wanted to take 3 kids at once. I ended up bouncing around from random family members and eventually ended up back with my mother in Long Beach, and she was on drugs still. The Crips in the neighborhood saw that I was this little white kid. I was like 10, 11 years old, and I didn't have food. I had dirty clothes, dirty shoes. No one cared about me. My mom's out there prostituting, and the gang members taught me how to survive. They taught me that since nobody cares about you, you have to go in the store and steal food, and you have to do these things. And they taught me how to bag up weed, sell it. They taught me how to do all these things. And when I was still going to school. When I was walking to school, I got jumped by a Mexican gang for being white and in their neighborhood, and they bullied me, took all my stuff, beat me up pretty bad. But because I fought back, it was a constant issue. So the Crips pretty much adopted me at that moment, and they went with guns and everything, and we went and got all my well, not all my stuff, but we got my backpack and my shoes back. And after that, I've pretty much been a part of a different type of family. It's not like I joined a gang to sell drugs or be famous or any of these things. Like, it was just because they saw what my mother was doing, and they saw a child. They didn't see a race. So they took me in. They taught me how to survive, how to look out for myself. And, when you're 11, you're 12 years old, you can't just get a job and work. So I just learned all the criminal aspects of all the stuff that was going on around me. And that's how I ended up involved with that. It usually happens in middle school. The other kids are now bringing weapons. When I was in like 10 or 11 with my mom, she ended up losing custody, and I ended up in foster care in Compton. And me being associated with all the Crips from Long Beach, the Compton Crips immediately took a liking to me because they knew about Snoop Dogg and they knew about the rap music and smoking weed and all that stuff. So I kind of already fit in with the Crips and Bloods out there because we understood the same music. We knew a lot of the same people. And so it started getting serious when we were about 12 or 13 because the older kids don't care. The teenagers and young adults, they are going to take your clothes, your shoes, anything you had. Like the Nextel chirp phones were a big thing back then, pagers, anything you have, they're taking it, and they'll take it with a weapon. and now they'll kill you. You know, so you start as a male. This is as a man, not as a female. As a male, you have to learn how to defend yourself and be ready to take life because that's all they respect. They don't, you know, and some of them don't even respect that. So you have to start arming yourself, walking in packs, walking in groups. So there's either someone to back you up or a witness to something, because that keeps a lot of stuff from happening. Because when you're by yourself, someone's going to see you and they're going to say, "Let's go get him." That's when it started getting serious. Around middle school and high school is really bad. Well, one summer, like you would take a summer vacation from school and come back and then hear about 6 people that died, and these are 13, 14-year-old kids, you know, and they got shot, all gang involvement, all robbery stuff, home invasion stuff, and it impacts you because you see some of this stuff. You see people get shot, or you walk to school, you walk past a dead body in an alley, and you see some homeless guy dead or something, you know, and it traumatizes you because, one, you know that your life can be gone immediately, and you're just a child, so you don't know how to process it because someone like me, I had no guidance. You know, I had no one to tell me that this ain't normal. To me, this is the world, you know, like, hey, you walk down the street, you can get robbed and stabbed and you're dead, and that's it. So you start learning to turn your life all the way up, like you start living for all the things immediately, and you don't learn how to save everything, or, you know, or you do the opposite. You will appreciate and want everything so bad that you hoard everything, all your friends, your family. You don't want to lose anyone or anything, and you become like controlling. And, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff that traumatized me, and being how I was, like losing friends constantly. Some of the things that stood out was a murder that happened when I was a child. I was walking home from school, and some friends picked me up. We were all smoking, hanging out, and someone else got carjacked. And the person that got carjacked came back looking for the guys that carjacked him, and we all lived in the same neighborhood. One of the people with us was from that gang, and it turned into a shootout, and someone got killed, and this was like a friend of mine. Well, what traumatized me was the girl that was with us, it was her boyfriend that got killed. And the other guys, they were like on Sherm or something because they were moving really slow and they didn't really care about anything. And after that, I saw a friend of mine gasping for air and bleeding to death in the gutter, and I wanted to help him, but I know this guy's dead, you know. So I'm either going to sit here and help him and probably get shot in the back of the head by the same gang stuff that's going on right now, or I'm going to get out of the way like his girlfriend did. And I actually walked and knocked on the door and told his mother, where he shot in front of his house. I knocked on the door and told his mother, hey, you need to call 911. They just killed your son. And she's like, she couldn't process it. She couldn't believe it. And I know they heard all the gunshots, but she didn't see my demeanor because I'm drunk, I'm high. I really am like nonchalant about it all while everyone else is flipping out. And his mother couldn't process this. And it traumatized me because you see a child, you know, that you care about, a friend of yours. He was like 16 or 17 when it happened, get killed and lose his life. And then you see the mother, how it impacts them, you know. You see the whole family, how everybody starts feeling this pain, but they're in a poverty, so they can't take time to grieve. They can't heal. They're dealing with alcoholism and drug addiction now, and the family like falls apart because of something else that someone else did. And it's it makes you worry a lot and be aware, and it gives you PTSD about random people approaching you or hearing gunshots, and you know, so that was one that really stood out to me. The girl that was there, well, mentally, I mean, for my future and me living in this neighborhood now, being the only white person in this little radius, the girl told the police everything. And it got me involved with a murder investigation now. And I told them I don't want nothing to do with it. You know what I mean? Because they're going to say you're a snitch, or even if you're not a snitch, they're going to look at you like he might snitch, so we're going to kill him. And I'm white. Everyone knows who I am. Everyone knows where I stay. That's the white kid that has all the black foster family. and I go to the park and go swimming at the pool every summer, and I do all these things. So I'm really known in the neighborhood to where I don't want nothing to do with this. And the girl is identifying who killed her boyfriend. She's telling him I was there, I was this, I was that. And I'm a minor. I'm like 16, 17 years old. And the police come and arrest me from my...
You have 60 seconds remaining.
So the girl was identifying everyone who was involved. The police come to my foster mom's house. They are arresting me in handcuffs and telling her that I'm involved with a murder, and I'm a minor, so I'm her property, you know, and she's all with it, like, yes, y'all do what y'all want with him, and, you know. So they take me and threaten to take me to foster care, to take me from my foster home and put me in juvenile halls. They're taking the information that the girl gave, and they're forcing me to circle pictures and say that I saw these guys do these things, or they're going to put me in juvenile halls, and this is where a child like me would get beaten, murdered, you know. So they're using the system to threaten me as them, and then they don't even protect me, and they identify who they want to go arrest and who they're looking for, because the girl was telling them everything about who's involved, their alias, why this homicide happened, everything, because it was their boyfriend they killed. And they just put me back in the foster home and leave me there to figure it all out. They want me to be there for them to say, oh, he's a witness now, and for me to be involved with the gangs that were out there. And I was. I went to school with them. I hung out with them. So now there's an ongoing feud between these gangs, and there's people that I know want me to help them get away with murders, want me to testify that they're with me, but they're really going, like, ditching school to go kill enemies. And, you know, so I can no longer walk to school. I'm not getting involved with this. I'm, like, trying to get away from this area because the police are now putting my life in danger. They're identifying me as involved with this, but they're not protecting me or separating me or anything at all to try and prosecute these guys for killing this other person. So now I'm stealing cars. I'm carrying a gun. I'm not walking to school at all. I'm missing classes whenever people are involved with this. I'm doing weird things, like from school I would walk to the back and hop the fence and run down a back street just because I know these guys might be out front waiting on me to come out of the main exit and entrance of the school. You know, so it just changed my life in a way where I learned that, one, these people are gang involved and it's not going to stop, but two is the police are also doing this, and they're taking advantage of people and threatening you with situations that are going to happen to you unless you cooperate, and then they're just feeding you to the wolves so they can go get more murders, more convictions, more arrests, and look like great heroes, but they're really taking advantage of someone who doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know what to do, doesn't have any choice in the matter. And now I'm getting arrested. So I'm getting caught up in stolen cars. I can't really graduate high school. I'm going to night school. I actually did graduate.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
But once I was forced to figure out how to get to school safely, how to do these things, how to get, you know, I'm like adapting to my circumstances. Now I'm a criminal. You know, no one is saying, well, why did you steal the car? They're saying you stole a car. You did this. You got arrested. You got caught up. You took this without warning. You're going to take probation. Now you're on probation. I can't leave the area. It's a violation. So you can't leave. Now you're forced to be in this up area with a bunch of going on, and people know who you are. They know, and it's illegal for you to walk away from it, you know? So parole doesn't care. Probation doesn't care. I'm just constantly in stolen cars because I can't walk down the street anymore. There's people shooting at me. There's random things happening. You know, so here I am in and out of prison now. And as a foster kid, I don't have family I can call and say, hey, I need to come and stay with you. I'm not safe where I'm at. You know, I don't have anything but this gang. And so now I'm back in Long Beach where I know these guys know me. They know I don't want to testify on these people. They know I don't want to be involved with this. And they're letting me sleep in their house or on the couch in the garage, things that it's kind of like being in a war zone while trying to respect the rules of doing things. You know, like everyone's getting killed, everyone's killing each other. You have to stay awake. Now I'm using drugs to stay awake and alert and get high and escape my reality. And I realized that all of my trauma, when I was like 20-something years old in prison, all of this stuff I started realizing that I never had a family to take care of me, a father, a mother, none of this. And I went to these people as this gang because they accepted me, and I learned that I need to learn how to love myself, to care about myself. And I started to learn how to cry at the age of 26. I didn't know. All the pain just overflowed because I realized all these people, all these things, they're just ruining my life. They ruin everything. And I had so much potential. I was really smart. I'm athletic, all these things. And but now I got this long criminal history. Stolen car after stolen car. I'm involved with homicides. I'm involved with all this stuff that never was it my agenda. You know what I mean? I'm not stealing cars to look like a boss, or you know what I mean? I'm not doing any of these things for these reasons that the prosecutors would bitch to the juries and force you into saying and make me the worst guy ever. And I don't have a lawyer. I don't have that $2.5 million for that O.J. Simpson defense. So I have to take these deals. I have to do these times. And then you got to get a job. And you can't get a job with this long-ass criminal history of you've been counterfeiting money, you've been stealing cars. I can't tell them, hey, you guys forced me to be a witness in a murder case, and these people are now trying to kill me, and you didn't protect me at all. So now I have to figure out how to survive inside your little situations. And I manipulated the system. I started getting out of the prison main line by going into mental health. I'd say, oh, I'm suicidal. And they'd lock me up because I'm not going to deal with all these things of racism, politics, all this stuff. I didn't care about it. It wasn't me. I grew up in foster care. My mom is like, I don't want to say the blackest woman ever, but she's ghetto, and she would want to come visit me, but I got to tell her she can't because the white supremacists can't have a white person getting a visit from a black woman, and if I do, they're going to come and tell me that that's out. That's going to stop. We're going to kill you. And it was just something that was beyond my power because there's 30 of them and one of me. So I ended up like really getting involved with my gang, and that was it. That was how I ended up on parole and probation. But it was all theft. It was all theft-related poverty, oppression, forced circumstances, all this stuff that led to me being in prison. And the court saw that. These new laws had came out, and they changed, and they said, hey, if you're not a murderer or anything, we gave you a lot of time. We got to get you out of here because the prosecutors have overloaded the prison system. They can't afford it. So the Fed said, yeah, this is too much money. Kick them out. And they came with this program called AB 109. And with AB 109, everybody who was in protective custody was separated from the general population of it's black against white against Hispanic, to where now in protective custody, you better pick a gang to survive because you're either going to join these gangs, or you're going to be involved with this stuff, or we're going to kill you and take advantage of you. You'll get extorted. Anything can happen over here with this SNY protective custody thing. But the AB 109, they didn't care. They just said, look, we got to make the feds happy to keep our money and meet these laws, so force them back together and re-enter them into society. And that's how I ended up in a room with someone who was an active white supremacist, who was not supposed to be in my room, and I have to live with general population people again that are participating in racial politics, gang politics. They have these beliefs of and these ways to where if they're from a different gang or they're protected custody, we got to kill them. So I'm in the room with a white supremacist. He's an old man. He did like 30 years for murder, and he thought I was a regular white guy. But when he saw I get to the program, I started getting on the phone, and I'm calling my friends to pick me up. They're gang members. They're all black. They're all young. They're healthy. They'll come over. We'll play basketball. They see me sharing cigarettes with them, and the white supremacists don't like that. You can't smoke a cigarette after a black person because I don't know, but they take drugs out of the hole and inject it in their arm in prison. So it never made no sense to me. But I get into an argument with my roommate because he's the maintenance man, and I'm an AB 109 client. And I have to go do chores at a certain time. I have to go to groups. I have to do all these things to get my life together. and he's an employee, so he can do what he wants. So for him to try and force his beliefs, his ways, the things that he wanted on me, after he told me that he's a white supremacist, that he did 30 years for murder, he killed people for the Aryan Brotherhood, and all these things that how he would hold lists and get people's families killed. He told me all these things before this homicide that I'm involved with happened. And me and him got into a fight one day because I used to call him Old Spice because he would still work out. He was in his late 60s, but he was in prison. He was institutionalized. He still work out. He still eat right. He still do all these things. And something happened, and we ended up getting in a fight, and he struck me. And I think he was trying to knock me out, or he thought I was going to okay, I'm sorry. But that's not what happened. I've been in fights. I've been attacked from behind before. I don't play that. So I got him off me, and I started beating him up. And that's when he grabbed a weapon, and and that was it. And once he reached for a pair of scissors, and we fought over that, I got a little knife that he had on top of a microwave, and I took his life because I'm not going to let him go get his white supremacist buddies. You know, that's the whole reason he's dead. But the prosecution, well, after that, I didn't know what to do. The guy's bleeding to death. I don't know what to do. I just killed him because I'm not going to let him go get more guys, because these people will kill your family. They'll murder your children. They'll light your mom on fire. They're very evil. And he was involved with them. He bragged to me about being with them, and he's not supposed to be in my room. He's not supposed to be housed with me at all in any way. And the state just forced me into this circumstance, said, you want to reenter society, this is what you got to do, or we're going to violate your probation and we'll lock you back up. So here it is, I'm in this situation where there's a dead guy and me alive, and nothing's on camera. There's no evidence of nothing. I had already complained about being in a room with him. I complained to staff about him being a white supremacist, and they didn't do anything. So I'm like, I'm going to cover this up. And I start wiping up the blood. I'm panicking. I don't know what to do. And I say, you know what? I'm going to burn this out. I'm going to burn all my DNA evidence out of this place, and I'm going to leave all this alone, and I'm done with this. So I up and tried to cover this homicide up and burn this place down with gasoline. But I fell. The gasoline spilled everywhere. I accidentally lit myself on fire. I didn't get burnt up, but like my shirt lit on fire. And now there's this big scene with the staff. And my adrenaline's pumping. I don't know what to say. I know that some of the staff are white supremacists. Some of the staff are gang members. Some of the staff are, these staff members are actually prisoners that were working at this place. And here I am, a client, and I don't know what to do. So I bail. I go to a hospital, and I need to get medical treatment. I call my PO the next day. She says, you're wanted for murder. You need to turn yourself in. So I turn myself in. And I walk into the police station, and I tell the police I'm here to tell them to turn myself in. They go, what are you wanted for? I said, I think I'm wanted for murder. My roommate tried to kill me. That was it. The police didn't give me any medical treatment until they were allowed to create this confession on camera where I'm saying I stabbed this guy. He called me a lover. They took certain statements that were made and made it a murder case. And now I'm arrested for murder. Now I get the medical treatment. Now I get eye surgery. I get treated for all my wounds. And I'm in the county jail. And while
You have 60 seconds remaining.
Okay, so now I'm in the county jail. I had finally gotten treatment for my medical needs, and I get represented by a public defender. I ain't got no money for a lawyer. I can't bail out, nothing. So the public defender is telling me, I'm your lawyer, I'm going to represent you, you're accused of murder, and that's pretty much it. She says she didn't have any of the discovery, the evidence, they call evidence discovery. They don't have any of the discovery from the DA, so she's filing for that, and she's going to prepare for a preliminary hearing. So she gives me her business card, her lawyer card, and I call her and start trying to explain to her why this man's life was taken, that the situation was illegal. I was forced to live with him. I didn't know what to do. I panicked. I was scared. He was a white supremacist. I have a black family that I was involved with gang members and all these things. And the lawyer's like, okay, well, let's see what's going on here, because she's looking at this confession that the police have. And it says that, oh, I stabbed him to death. She's taking all these statements that are very incriminating. And it says I stabbed this guy like 40 times in the eyes, the throat, and the lungs. And I'm telling her, no, there's no stab wounds to these lungs. And all this was said to the police to get medical attention. And she says, yeah, but you walked into the police station, so it's willingly a confession that they can use. And I said, no, it's false evidence. It doesn't match what really happened. So she's supposed to file a suppression motion or alert the jury that this is false evidence. You can't believe this because the man needed medical treatment. The police are locking him in this little tiny room and questioning him over and over until they get the on-camera version that they want. And she's arguing with me now. She's realizing I'm not stupid. I've been involved with lawyers before, and she's not getting my prison file that proves I'm supposed to be protected from the white supremacists. I'm not supposed to be housed with them. And she's not arguing any of that with the state, the state's lawyer, the state's representative. And she's pretty much telling me that, oh, well, I think I can get you 30 years for manslaughter. And I'm saying, no, I'm not taking 30 years for manslaughter. That's ridiculous. So I start calling for Marsden hearings to tell the judge, hey, judge, my lawyer's not representing me the way I need to be represented, and I would like a different attorney. So the judge doesn't want to hear it. I'm having these hearings back to back to back to back, and the judge realizes that I'm putting up a fight with this lawyer. So I say, fine then. Give me a speedy trial, because I realize I'm going to have to appeal this on my own. I'm going to have to go to trial and see what her little gimmick is and lose, and then start pointing out that, hey, this was false evidence, this was this was that, this is not a murder. The state created this situation, and it's awful. Something very bad happened, but for the lawyer to now say, or for it was at that time it was the LAPD. For the LAPD to accuse me of murder without investigating the homicide or why it happened or, any of the real facts about it, they just wanted to incriminate and get dirty statements and then put dirty statements and say, he did it, he's a murderer, lock his ass up, give me a promotion, give me a raise. So the lawyer's not representing me, and I said, I want a speedy trial. Well, while I'm on a speedy trial, the judge says, I'll get you in front of a jury in 60 days. I said, let's do it. So 30 days into this 60-day time limit of a speedy trial right, a doctor comes to see me, and his name is Corey Tanapke. The doctor is talking to me about my mental health, what I'm involved with, do I understand court proceedings, all these things, and he's asking me about the homicide, but he's using the word murder. So he's asking about the murder. And I'm telling him, no, I used to be involved with these people, I've been involved with those people, I was selling drugs to these people, these guys are doing this, these ones are doing that. I'm explaining the whole reason that this guy is dead, the trauma.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
And he was sent by my defense attorney. So I'm thinking my defense attorney is going to put a psychologist on the stand as an expert to explain that this is not a murder. This man was scared. He has trauma. He's involved with these people. And I know you've heard of the fight or flight theory. Once something gets violent, the person's either going to run or they're going to fight for their life. And that's what I was thinking was going to happen with this doctor, because the circumstances of these reentry programs are locked. They have barbed wire. They have huge locks. They have spiked fences. You're not getting out of here. So I had to deal with these white supremacists one way or the other. So I can't get away. There is no flight for me. There's just fight. And if I don't fight and take this life now, I have to get out and fight 7 or 8 more of them that are extremely young, extremely healthy. They've killed numerous people. They've been in prison. They've stabbed. They know how to make a weapon out of toothpaste and a newspaper, So these guys are really dangerous, and I'm explaining all this to this guy, and comes day 60 for trial. I'm thinking this doctor's going to testify on my behalf that was her strategy to investigate where my mind was at when I made the decision to take a life. And I'm thinking, cool. You know what I mean? They might say, oh, well, this is a manslaughter. He was in the heat of the moment. Or, they might say even it's an imperfect self-defense, which is only like 4 years because the state created the circumstances and he was defending himself. But he did choose to kill someone. So there is some type of accountability. But no, on day 60, I walk into the courtroom and the judge says, Mr. Salmon, the lawyers are already there, the DA and the public defender. The DA was David Richmond, and the public defender was Anya Hagwood. And the judge says to me, Mr. Salmon, due to off-record representation, the court finds you incompetent to stand trial. And I said, wait a minute, what the fuck? I'm thinking, what the fuck is off-record representation? You mean you guys conspired about this case behind my back and said I'm crazy, I'm incompetent, said I don't understand what's going on. I said, no, Judge, I want to represent myself. Because the lawyer was now wasting time because they didn't get ready for the trial in the time of 60 days. The DA knew this wasn't a murder, but he wanted to present something. So in 60 days, he wasn't ready. The public defender pretty much got this report, and the DA used it. And in L.A., they're supposed to send you to Department 95 and get real experts. Like a panel of three doctors have to agree that this person is mentally incompetent. They didn't do that with me. With me, they just had a hearing without me present and ruled me incompetent ahead of time. So when I go in there, the judge says off-record representation during a competent stand trial. And they sent me to Patton State Hospital just to waive time, just to screw me out of a speedy trial, just to make it so, the DAs can investigate the facts and how do I present a murder case and how do I do these things and what's the evidence and, So while I'm at the hospital, while I'm getting ready to go to the hospital, some of the people that I was involved with that I was selling drugs to, one of them is on the news. He's drugging him children. And he murdered some kid named Jamel Moore. His name was Ed Buck. He was a politician and a white supremacist. I used to drop off ounces of crystal. And I write my lawyer and the judge immediately. I say, hey, you guys, this guy killed someone, and I'm telling the truth. I'm not crazy. I'm really involved with this. I'm really in fear for my life. This guy really was a white supremacist. These guys are white supremacists, and I'm pointing out to the doctor's reports that say, hey, this is all on the record. And the judge says, yeah, but you can't file any documents because you're represented by an attorney right now. So your word is now void. And they left me to rot and get drugged at the mental hospital. And while I'm at the mental hospital, they start seeing this guy's not crazy. He can carry himself calm, collective. He's well-spoken. He understands the law. So after 6 months at the hospital, they send me back. And when I go back to trial, I got a whole different DA, a whole different public defender, and a whole different courtroom. And we're getting ready for trial. And I have no clue of what this new lawyer's strategy is. I'm arguing with her the same stuff. Hey, this guy was a white supremacist. He tried to kill me. We got into a fight. I didn't want to kill him. I didn't plan this out. They're accusing me of murder. And she's like, all right, well, I want to use the confession to use the good statements about it that prove it's self-defense. Because you said he tried to take my eyes. You said these great things that I could play for the jury. And I'm saying, no, it's not true. It's very incriminating. So, me and her are arguing now over this false confession. It's inconsistent with the coroner's report. And the coroner's report can prove it. The pictures prove it. It's not the truth. It should be thrown out, or you should tell the jury about it and allow me to take the witness stand and tell my side. And while we're getting ready to go to trial, the DA says, Judge, I got a motion for this, a motion for that, and she starts suppressing all of the evidence that is in my favor. The fact that he had tattoos that are earned by murdering black people. This is the deceased guy that I killed. He had tattoos that proved he's a white supremacist. He had a murder conviction. The DA says, I don't believe this is relevant. I don't believe this is a gang case. The judge says, oh, yeah, I agree. He doesn't say anything about white supremacists or anything, so, yeah, no. But it's all in there. I totally told him this guy is a white supremacist. And the judge suppressed it. So now my lawyer cannot present any evidence that I have black family members, that this guy is a white supremacist. The whole reason this guy's life was taken is now covered up. The truth about it was covered up. And we go to trial. The DA says, Mr. Salmon, you beat this guy. I'm getting on the stand, and I'm testifying. She says, Mr. Salmon, you beat this guy. You caused those marks on his face, and then you went to the kitchen and got a knife, right? I said, no. I picked the knife up during the fight. He struck me from behind, and we started fighting, and then I got the knife. And that's what happened. So the DA said I went to beat him down, dragged him to the bathroom, went to the kitchen to get a knife, came back and stabbed him to death. And that's how they got the murder conviction. They said that he made insulting remarks towards my girlfriend, and that's why I did that. right? They convinced the jury that I repeatedly stabbed this guy to death, overwhelmingly, over name calling, and it was ridiculous to me. So when I lose trial, they find me guilty, convicted me of murder. I get my appeal attorney. The appeal attorney says there's no premeditation in this case. I don't see anything that indicates that this man planned this out. And they're saying now, I beat him down. I went to the kitchen. Well, I dragged him to the bathroom. I went to the kitchen and got a knife and came back. And I had time to think about it. And that's where the murder is, right? Well, I get the pictures. There's no kitchen. It's just a little tiny bedroom. The kitchen is blocked and barricaded. It's a reentry program. The clients aren't allowed access to the kitchen. This is a program, like a facility. You can't have all the tools and the food and all these things. These are for the cooks and stuff. So there's no kitchen. And I proved that to the judge. I said, hey, judge, check this out. Look, there's no kitchen. They lied to say I had time to think about this. And that's how they got the murder. And the judge says, yeah, but it was a kitchen knife. It was a knife.
This call and your telephone number will be monitored and recorded.
It was a knife that the maintenance man had in the room. There's still no kitchen. The guy is not even supposed to be in my room. He's an employee. I'm a client. The whole homicide is lied about, and here I am now. I'm losing these appeals. I have no rights. I've been presenting argument after argument. I have tons of evidence that prove it. I have proof that they knew about Ed Buck murdering Jamel Moore. They didn't arrest him. They have it all in my competency files. I have copies of those. I have proof that I told them it's in my competency files, that the doctor knew about it, that I told them these guys are drugging and molesting people. I told them I was selling drugs to these ones. I told them I'm a gang member from this gang. I've been involved with this and involved with that. And I was in fear for my life, that these guys are going to kill me. They're going to come after my family. They're going to do these things. And it's going to get really ugly. So that's why the decision to take this life was made. And you have no rights with this system. It's about what judge you get. It's not even about the evidence anymore, because I proved there's no kitchen. This is how they got the murder. They said there was time to think about it. That's premeditation. And that's it. There's no kitchen. So how did I beat him down and go to a kitchen with time to think about it? And what was he doing? Just relaxing in the bathroom, waiting on me to come back? You know, and it just didn't make any sense there.
You have 60 seconds remaining.
So that's how I ended up in prison, convicted of murder, unlawfully, and I'm still here.
Do you feel like you've been screwed over? Do you feel like you've been railroaded? Do you feel let down,
Very much
desperate?
so. Very much so. You know, a lot of people are going through this with these reentry programs, and this is something that the lawyers are taking advantage of. They know they're not murderers.